afternoon, everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast Monday morning. How's it going, gentlemen?
Well, I'll start. It's doing great. The Stars took out Winnipeg. Now we got Edmonton. And I got to tell you, Pax, thanks for talking about Radisson the other day. I told my wife I need to do a better job watching the Stars. And I watched every game since then. And it really was. I mean, that Ottinger, man, that guy is a hell of a good goalie. I mean, they had double the shots on goal, and he only gave up one, I think, in game 5, I believe it was. And then he gave up, I think, one, in game 7 or 6. I mean, he didn't give up much. Compared to the shots on goal, that guy did not give up much at all.
Well, I think he had 2 games in a row where he had shutouts. I mean, that's kind of. I mean, that's how teams win in playoff hockey. I mean, it's like goalies can carry throughout throughout that series.
Right.
Going up against Edmonton's going to be tough. I mean, they really got 2 guys that can put the puck in the net. I can't stand Connor McDavid, but he is coming into his own. I mean, he is starting to turn into he's like the guy who would take the place for Sidney Crosby for me. I can't stand Sidney Crosby.
Right.
I can't stand Connor McDavid either. But we'll see. We'll definitely see out of that. Interesting, say Toronto, the Maple Leafs did it again. They do what they always do. Poop the bed. Right there on the pillow, right, 6-1, just gets spanked in game 7 at home. At home, gets spanked.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Wayne?
That's definitely a Toronto thing to do. The Maple Leafs. And how about OKC making it through? Denver.
Denver forgot to show up for game 7 that day.
It's funny, though, because the first quarter, they looked like they had something for them. And just before half, it still was relatively close. And in the second half, the wheels just came off. OKC beat the brakes off them. But in that first quarter, you're like, okay, here we go. Nuggets came with it. And then, but that was it. First quarter was all they had.
I see this right now. I see a reunite. Yeah, they're going to reunite in the finals. Minnesota versus the Knicks. I think that OKC is not strong enough to beat Minnesota. I think that DiVincenzo is going to lead them straight into the finals, and ultimately you're going to see him versus the rest of Villanova, and we're going to see if DiVincenzo is strong enough to be able to disrupt the rest of Villanova's team.
The storyline there that really excites me, if it was to be the New York Knicks versus the Minnesota Timberwolves, and it's just going to go back to that question: who won the damn trade? Could you imagine 2 teams that traded with each other during this season, or now if they were to be the 2 guys, Eastern or Western Conference, going at it, and then you look at this trade, which probably was the difference maker on both sides for each one of these teams respectively? I mean, that would be a hell of a storyline.
It would be, but if both teams make it to the NBA Finals, then you can honestly say both teams won the trade because they both got to the NBA Finals. So no one actually really loses that trade at that point because you ultimately got the goal you were looking to get in by making that trade.
The fact of the matter is, I don't think it was the rest of the team. I really believe DiVincenzo is the reason why Minnesota has made it as far as they have. Yep. That's just straight out. I feel like he is by far the leader on that team. He has been by far the best leader, quietly the best leader in the Western Conference as a whole.
Yep.
I think it's going to be a big deal. I think it's going to be fun to watch that series if they do make it. I would actually pay attention a little bit only because it's all Villanova.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
as good as Julius Randle was for the Knicks last year, and as good as Karl Anthony Towns was for the Timberwolves most of his career, you can kind of see that Karl Anthony Towns fits better with the Knicks than he did with the Timberwolves, and Julius Randle fits Minnesota's play style better than the play style the Knicks play.
Oh yeah, I just like the shooting ability of DiVincenzo. He has a beautiful shot. You know, it's that kind of a shooter, honestly, that I would love to see the Rockets get to help us out in that area. You know, he's just like you said. He's a quiet guy. He leads by example. He shoots the ball well. Those are the kinds of things you want on your team, and I would love to see that.
The battle that I want to see is, like, obviously DiVincenzo's been such a big part for Minnesota's success, but he's going to be going up against Alex Caruso, who was a massive reason why Denver struggled during the second half of Game 7. Alex Caruso and DiVincenzo are kind of the same player. Like, they're an undersized guard that plays amazing on-the-ball defense. They play amazing off-the-ball defense. They're great locker room leaders, and when the lights are the brightest is typically when they play at their best. I want to see those two go at it against each other for 7 games.
And I think it would go 7 games. I mean,
I think it's going to go 7, yeah.
Yeah, I firmly believe that it's, I mean, ultimately the Knicks are the Knicks. You know, and even though that they have all of Villanova's squad and Karl Anthony Towns, I mean, that's how that is. I mean, I got to imagine that right now, Jay Wright has got to be feeling like he is king of the world, because that's like literally like Villanova is all over this year's playoffs. And they haven't been the same since he left. So
I expect that Minnesota. I expect this Minnesota OKC to be a track meet up and down the court, which is going to be good. It's going to be. You don't think so? You think there's going to be a lot of fast-paced movement in this game?
No, because OKC is the number 1 defensive team in the NBA, and Minnesota is number 3. They're not going to be an up and down track meet. It's going to be a lot of grinded out 22, 23 second possessions where you're getting a shot off late in the shot clock.
Which is weird because they don't typically, both of those teams don't typically do slow down or slow tempoed games. They're usually more up tempoed. So it'd be weird to see 2 up tempoed teams slow each other down.
Like when they're on offense, both teams are up tempo, but on defense, they slow each other down. But defense is both of those teams' strengths. So I don't think either team is going to let that other team get out and run. I think it's going to be a lot of just walking the ball up court, setting up your offense, and having to work that shot clock.
Hey, Chris. We will determine when we are going to talk about different topics. Don't you determine when we're going to talk about topics. Okay, there, Chris? Do you not think we're not going to bring that up at some point today? We are talking about the NBA right now and the NHL. And when we get to the WNBA, we will let you know.
Matter of fact, I see a banner at the bottom of the screen ticker that's going to say that specifically for Chris.
Yes, we are going to talk about it. Yes, it is something to talk about.
Bo, can we please get a Chris timer on the far left hand corner? Can we get a Chris timer, please?
No, see that's where I just ignore comments until we hit the topic, and then I'm like, oh, bam, there it is.
Hey, but hold on, I did have one question in the NHL because y'all went to NBA super quick, and it was really for Stat Guy. I just want to know. We're obviously Dallas and Edmonton, which is going to be a very good series going at it tonight, or going at it, coming up. How do you see this playing out? Who do you think is going to get the win out of this? Granlund had a hat trick. Radson's had 2 hat tricks. Dallas has had 3 hat tricks. Got a good goalie. Obviously, like Philly said earlier, that Edmonton is a really hot team or good team. How do you see this series playing out, man?
I think Dallas wins in 6 because they went through the tougher opponent to get to where they are.
Okay.
They have a lot more of the momentum.
I go in the exact opposite way.
You think Edmonton?
I think Edmonton wins this, and it's not because of Connor McDavid. It's because of the other guy. What the hell's his name?
Draisaitl. Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be the big deal. So they got to stop him. Rantanen actually had a great series. Like I said, he was able to do that. But they have the defense that could be able to go up and actually stop him on Edmonton. that they didn't have with Las Vegas. Las Vegas had some injuries, I guess, because it just seemed like their defense was way out of whack. I mean, the goalie kind of helped them, but it's like they just, when it comes to their defense, it's just like it wasn't all there, like it's been in previous seasons. So, and I think that Dallas has got to stop. Draisaitl. I mean, I think Connor McDavid's going to get his. He's going to get his points, and it's going to be able to go back and forth. Rantanen is not, like I said, was able to do certain things in those first two series that he's not going to be able to do in this Edmonton series. And I think Edmonton is just, I think if they get to the goalie, if they start scoring goals, the fact that it was a much harder series for Dallas is actually going to play a part here. And I think that's the reason. I think that Dallas had too difficult of a series against the Golden Knights that it's going to affect their play moving forward here.
That's the one advantage I give Dallas, though, is Ottinger over Skinner.
Yeah.
Skinner doesn't play at the same level that Ottinger does in the playoffs. And granted, with McDavid and Draisaitl and some of the weapons that Edmonton has, I don't expect Ottinger to go out and post shutouts or give up like 1 or 2 goals like every night. He's going to have some games where he gives up 3. He's going to have some games where he gives up 4. But as long as Ottinger plays as consistent as he's played the entire playoffs thus far, he's a better goalie than Skinner. I think that's ultimately what would give Dallas the advantage, is if he can play consistent, because Skinner is a very inconsistent playoff goalie.
Yeah, and I know they got there too, but I think what Dallas has done from Harley, Hintz, Granlund, and all the other supporting cast with Rantanen offensively. I mean, I think we're going to give Edmonton just as much as they give us. I think it's going to come down to what Stat Guy said, and Skinner and Ottinger, and who wins that battle. And after what I saw from Ottinger and what he did with Winnipeg, when we're getting 20 plus shots on goal to 15 shots on goal or 10 shots on goal by Dallas, they're only getting 1 or shutouts come out of it. That's going to be big. But I know, Stat Guy, you said 6 for Dallas, but Philly, what are you saying? I know you got Edmonton, but how many games are you going to give that series?
Depends on how much, if they can win game 1. I mean, I out of all the games that I think Dallas could win, or that they absolutely need to win, they need to win game 1. I think that it's foregone that even if they win game 1, as long as Edmonton leaves with a split in Dallas, that Edmonton could wind up taking it in 6, possibly 5. And I kind of feel the same way in this Carolina series. I feel like Florida, it took too much out of Florida to get to this point. And now it's like out of that, they get a day off and they're back at it again. Actually, where, Dallas actually gets an extra day off, which was surprising to me that that's how they were. That's how they did that. They didn't switch the series up, but
right.
I guess they says, okay, this is what it is. So this is what it is. But I think Carolina is too strong right now. And they're running through. They ran through the Capitals.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that they're too well coached. They're too strong of a team. And I think that Carolina wins. And then, like I said, I think it's Edmonton. So I think it could be a rematch. I mean, I think that obviously, if we're talking about goalies, Bobrovsky is the best goalie out of all 4 of these goalies that are in the playoffs, and he could carry them this series. I just don't see it. I think that they gave up too many goals and they just took too long to knock out Toronto to do it. And I also say, listen, I love the Flyers. I have been a Flyers fan all of my life since before I was born. Like I was at Flyers games. As their coach, I am so frustrated with this franchise. Like, come on. Like what is Tocchet want? What is Tocchet want? Like I'm just so, I know that he's got ring. He may have a ring with Pittsburgh as an assistant coach and all this other stuff, but it's been very frustrating to watch the Flyers just continue to recycle old Flyers, thinking that it's okay and that we're just going to keep doing it. I am so like, come on, guys, break the mold, do something different. I'm tired of the same rhetoric over and over and over and over again.
But I will say this, Pags. I'm gonna say this: you are batting 500 as a happy fan because you got Phillies, you got the Eagles. Happy as go lucky.
Hold on. We got to talk about our probably our best reliever wind up getting 80 game suspension because of taking fat pills. So
all right. So you're 1 for 4 then. My bad. So you got the Eagles. God forbid if we talk about NHL, NBA. It is not your day.
No, it's. It's just like I'm just frustrated with the same thing. We've been down this road before. We've done these things before, and I'm tired of seeing the same results. Like, come on, guys. I understand that Rick Tocchet was a fan favorite when he played here, and then he stopped playing here. We got rid of him. You know what I mean? And the fact that, like, it's just him being the head coach here is just I'm not a fan. I am not a fan at all. I wish they would have went with any of the other choices.
I watch Philly and all the emotion, and it's like looking at myself in the mirror when I think about my Cowboys. How you feel right now about your teams is how I feel on a daily basis about the Cowboys.
Well, it's
good to see somebody else have that same level of upsetness with management and ownership.
And actually, just so that you know, Ozempic is on the banned list.
Yeah.
None of these athletes are allowed to use Ozempic, and it's possible that's what he did.
I've heard of Ozempic.
I don't know the full story, but
I've heard of Ozempic before. But what is Ozempic? What does it do for you?
Ozempic is like a diabetes medication, or something like that. That wound up one of the things that it does is that it promotes weight loss. It makes you feel full, and it gives you the enzyme that doesn't make you hungry. It blocks that enzyme or something. So ultimately, you don't eat as much.
Why is something? If it's just making you feel full, what's the competitive advantage it would give you? I don't understand why that is such a big thing.
So if you aren't, just to you go over this a little bit, if you aren't prescribed it for blood sugar, and you're using it for weight loss, it is banned. It's considered a banned substance. You have to use it for what it's intended for. The same thing, just the same thing, like Viagra. Interestingly enough, that is like a bronchial medication. It's not meant for erectile dysfunction. It has a side effect that helps erectile dysfunction. Well,
and it's funny because it was also used as an antidepressant, and if you can get hard, you're less depressed, so that makes sense.
Well, right, but it's truly meant for bronchial, like for anybody who's having a problem breathing and things like that. It's for like COPD.
Yep.
Is COPD.
It makes sense. It opens up the blood vessels so your blood can flow more freely.
That is correct. My mother, she passed away from COPD and emphysema, and had a big old bottle of, that, and I made sure that didn't get flushed.
In his defense, though,
maybe he was using it to relieve it. I'm sure he was probably using the Ozempic as a way to control his weight. But I guess baseball is saying that, hey, it's meant for sugar reasons, not to control your weight. And I guess that's why they're saying that's why he got suspended, because he was using it, I guess, more as a weight control measure.
So I can't say. I do not know that it was Ozempic that caused the banning. So I don't want to say that. For instance, back in the day, like Chooch, Carlos Ruiz, who used to be the catcher for the Phillies, got suspended because he was using Adderall, and because he was never diagnosed with ADHD, he wasn't allowed to take it. After he got banned, he got diagnosed with the ADHD and then was able to take it.
Yeah.
So, but at that point, it was illegal. And because he was caught with it illegally, he still had to suffer the situation. It could be the exact same type of situation here.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I know that they needed him to lose some weight before he came into camp. And he's like, yeah, I'm doing great because I'm eating more healthy and I'm exercising and doing my thing. And, just didn't tell him that I'm taking Ozempic so that I don't eat as much.
Yeah.
Again, we're just speculating. We don't know that that's what it was.
Yeah.
So,
hey, at least Pegs, at least you still got the Philadelphia Union. They got the best record in the MLS right now.
They are tied for the best record in the MLS. Yes, that is correct. And I'm surprised at that because they stunk last year, and then they fired the coach, who's been a great coach for them, and now this year, all of a sudden, they're playing like out of their minds. And I suspect that we're going to be seeing Seattle, the Sounders, here in the next, I'm going to say 4 weeks, and playing them for the finals for the U.S. Open Cup.
Yep.
It would make sense.
Because that's what happens. Usually Seattle beats us every year. And I said this year, I am going to that match, and there's no way Seattle beats us. So whether it's in Seattle or whether it's in Philadelphia, I don't care. I'm going to that match, and Philadelphia brings home the first thing that goes into their trophy case. Because the plate that they did get for the one season that they had the best record, there's only one plate. So it's that plate goes back out again.
Yeah.
Just one. Just one. Go Sounders.
Go Union. Dupe. But that's their call. Dupe.
I don't know. I don't even think Houston has a soccer team, to be honest. I mean,
Houston Dynamo.
Is that who we are? I don't follow soccer. Is that now the Dynamo? Is that MLS or is that like an amateur version?
That is MLS.
That's MLS. That is MLS, and the Houston Dynamo are not very good. They're the 10th seed in the West right now, so they're on the outside looking in.
I'm about to find out where they play at. I wonder if they play at U of H or
No,
if
they have their own stadium, BBVA Compass Stadium. They built it about 6 years ago.
Oh, they got their own damn stadium.
Yeah, you're really on top of things in your own town.
Hey, I don't follow soccer.
I feel like
I never did. I didn't follow soccer when I was
Houston
in
Dynamo has multiple
MLS.
The Houston Dynamo have multiple championships too. I think they've been to 3 MLS Cup finals and they won 2 of them.
I think the only time I ever followed soccer, my ex-wife, she played for U of H collegiately for their soccer program. She was a Cougar. And I followed it during her little stretch run there. And then when she was done with soccer in college, I think I just kind of
so were you? Got it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much done. That was the stint of my college stuff. And I was only going to her college because I wanted to date her at the time. We were dating, but I don't know. I had a hard time. I'm starting to get into hockey because hockey is a little bit more aggressive. It's a little bit more physical. I'm not saying soccer's not physical, but I'm just saying like you can crash into board. I like that. Soccer, when I go to soccer games, it's just back and forth. Eventually, they'll do a long kick or they'll do something. But I don't know. I just get bored with it, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I don't know how y'all are.
Because you haven't watched it enough. There's a lot more hard tackles and things like that, especially in the MLS. Actually, the MLS, out of all the soccer leagues in all of the world, is probably the more rougher of
it definitely
the
has
soccer.
It definitely has the least amount of flops when you're looking at No, I mean for real. Like
I thought is that a thing in soccer, a flop? I never heard of that.
Well, yeah, I mean it's kind of like the way Angel Reese did that last game on that foul. Like that was they kind of they have to come out with the magic spray where they just kind of spray in something in the area, and all of a sudden voila, they are magically better.
It's actually just some Aquanet, right? There's still like from the 80s. So yeah, no, it's funny because when you look at, MLS has some of it, but not a ton. But when you look at the other soccer leagues, like some of the flopping is over the top ridiculous. Like it is LeBron-esque type of stuff. And that way we can piss off every fan base in one shot here.
And especially like when you're up by a goal in like the 80th minutes.
Yes.
When I say that, because it goes backwards, obviously you play up to 90 minutes and somebody just brushes by you and their shirt touches your shirt and they're like, I'm dead. And it's, then they have to come in and do the, they're like, make sure he's all okay and everything and spray and,
I actually used to have I'll have to remake it because I don't have any more, but I used to have a video edit of a bunch of those flopping with the knockdown music from Tyson's Punch-Out.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But since you mentioned Angel Reese and Chris been hanging on, might as well bring that up. And it's funny because people are losing their minds over, was it a little bit of a hard foul? Maybe. Was it some flopping? Probably. We're not even going to talk about the fact that she pushed off.
Yeah, literally.
Where did that go?
Shoved. And before she got fouled, literally the ref, she's like, excuse me, ref, you didn't just see that? Didn't just see that? Hold on. I'm not going to just let her go up and get and the fact that she got a technical for that.
Yeah. Yes.
And I guess it was a flagrant 2.
Yeah. And I mean, I get it. It was a little bit harder of a foul, which again is one you're going to do, right? Just like she said in her press conference. It's like, look, she either gets an open 2 points or you foul right there. And was it a little bit harder?
It was grabber though. I mean, I don't understand what's worse though, the grab or the push. Because I watched that.
The push was so blatant.
Yeah, she pushed her out of the lane, like all the way out of the lane, and then wants to go and get her layup after she pushes her 2 feet. Yeah, she probably doesn't have an easy shot. It's easy when you just push the person 2 feet to the right.
That's the thing, is the push off was never even talked about. But I mean, that was a wicked push off. I mean, it moved her easily 2 feet.
And look at who she pushed off too.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So she gets the rebound, and then Caitlin Clark comes in and hacks, right? But every basketball player on the planet would have hacked right there, because then it forces you to go to the line. So you're either getting the easiest 2 points ever, or you have to go and earn it. So I didn't mind that foul. The fact that they called it a flagrant, she came in a little hard. Obviously, that's something a judgment call that a ref can do. But people losing their minds about it, have they never watched basketball? Like that was a basketball play. The fact that
was absolutely a basketball play.
The fact that Reese didn't get called on the push off was
I don't know if that push off was a basketball play.
Is more a testament of how the refs should have called the game.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, let's face it, Reese's team sucks.
Yes.
He is terrible. You know what I mean? She's good at rebounding because she pushes people out of the way and picks up a rebound and then tries to go up and shoot the ball and then rebounds her own shot because she sucks and then goes up and tries to do it again and rebounds her own shot because she sucks and then he goes and tries to put it back up again and then finally somebody else gets the rebound and then she it's so bad.
She does get a lot of defensive rebounds, but still, I mean, it's funny because, to answer Rob, this is a story because there's no stories. They are so bad at marketing their product that they have to lean into little things like this because they don't do their job.
And here's the other part about this that bothers me. is that now all of a sudden the WNBA is doing an investigation because somebody may have said something like, "Oh, you pansy, you flopper." Like that.
What I don't understand is, look, when they foul, when they get, even if it's a flagrant or if it's a heavy, whatever the case is, they always review it in the NBA. Everything is reviewed. Where the hell was the review? Because you got to imagine if I'm reviewing this play and I watch Angel Reese push old girl 2 feet to the right to then go up for the layup. Why was that?
They weren't reviewing that part. They were reviewing Clark's end of it. So they were reviewing whether or not it was a flagrant. And it was her follow through that had them decide it was that. If it was just the hack, it wouldn't have been a flagrant. It would have been a hard foul, sure. But it was her push with the second hand. Not that it would have ended up with the way that Reese fell down, right? Unless she was.
Oh no, that was a little flop on that part. There ain't no way.
For sure. But because there was the motion to like continue the shove, that's where it became a flagrant. So,
what I do like is that her teammates jumped back up, and made sure that get Caitlin out of the mix.
Yes.
Like, no. You don't go get to mess with her. You get to mess with me because I'm the one that you pushed initially.
Yes.
So she was sticking up for me, and I'm going to stick up for my teammate, and literally pushed Caitlin Clark out of the way.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely.
So I was happy to see that.
Hold on, Jay. Hold on. Good.
Yeah, I was happy to see that she stood up because obviously I didn't want the color to get into the mix here. Like it still got in here, but that it was the fans' fault now. Now it was the fans who did something that instead of it being on the court.
Yeah,
well, I didn't understand like why did the Fever coach challenge the shove off? Why wasn't that challenge? Like why didn't she raise that challenge?
It wasn't called. You can't challenge if it's not called.
Oh, okay, so you can't. Okay, all right.
You can't challenge non-calls.
No, what made it worse though is the person that Angel Reese pushed was Aaliyah Boston. Aaliyah Boston is not a small lady. So for her to go like 3 feet to the left, you legitimately have to shove her. This isn't like Angel Reese going up against a 120-pound point guard and maybe lightly pushing her because she's got a 40-pound size difference. Aaliyah Boston is a bigger lady than Angel Reese. So to see her go that far one way, that's pretty much a given push.
Yeah. Well, and
I'll tell you what, though, if I was the Fever's coach, I would take that portion of the tape where she is getting pushed, and I would send that to the league office and say, look, y'all need to look at this. Why are we not getting this called?
The thing is the camera angle on the shove wasn't actually great.
No.
So it was right at the edge of the frame. So you saw it, but it wasn't front and center. So, I mean, not to say that the ref shouldn't have saw it, but I mean, when you're watching it on screen, it actually wasn't like you had to be watching the second part of that because you almost didn't notice it in real time.
Yeah, I guess you could say Angel Reese got away with one there. Then,
Caitlin straight out was like looked at the ref and pointed.
Yes.
Now they were up by 25 points.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like the WNBA refs, and I've learned this now just from watching a little bit more, is that they want to try to keep these games somewhat competitive.
Yes.
So they are going to keep the whistle in their pockets when it's getting out of reach. And this game was getting out of reach.
Yeah.
Because listen, Angel Reese had like 65 rebounds because she went 2 for 64. You know what I mean? So I mean, that's part of the problem. They were like down by 25 points. So they're going to let those calls kind of get away. And, she fouled her. You got the technical shot, and she missed that too. You know what I mean? Brick. She's full of bricks. She's a builder out there.
The only thing that is really going to take away from this is it is a basketball foul. Like everyone said, like every NBA player is going to react the way Caitlin Clark did in a situation like that because that's a common basketball foul. You're sticking up for your team. But to see Angel Reese react the way she did once that foul happened, that's all the proof you need that she completely hates Caitlin Clark. She can sit here all she wants and deny that she does not hate Caitlin Clark. But if any other player commits that foul on her, I don't see her reacting the same way she did.
I disagree with that. When you are absolutely getting smoked in a game and then you have something go like you can be caught up in frustration of getting just beat down. That could have been anybody. Now, I'm not saying that she does or doesn't hate Caitlin. I have no idea. But I can tell you when you are getting absolutely annihilated in a game, there will be little things that will just send you over the edge because you're just frustrated with the game as a whole.
But I think Angel Reese, none of us are oblivious to her. I've heard lots of comments by Angel Reese negatively towards Caitlin Clark. So I think we all know that Angel Reese doesn't exactly have love for Caitlin Clark. She certainly made a spectacle about it.
But I'm going to stop you here because she has been getting coached up on this now and has, I guess somebody has told her, like, listen, you can't keep going this because it's destroying any image that you got. So you have to stop. You have to stop with that. Yep. So, like you said, somebody brought it up, and she get next question. I'm not going to address it anymore, and I'm not going to bring it up anymore. So ultimately, she could have whatever feelings she wants. And the truth of the matter is that she could be all pissed off at Caitlin Clark just because Caitlin Clark's a much better player than she is. You could forget everything else, just the fact that she's a much better player in general. That she could be however she could feel however she wants to. You know what I mean? Sure. But she has gotten coached up a little bit better. And the other thing that I liked about this whole situation is that I saw this from like 6 different sources, 5 of which were not like the actual game, like somebody actually talking about it. And out of those 5, 4 of them were women of color, and they stuck up for Caitlin Clark, which is also something new that we haven't seen a lot of. So I like the fact that out of everything that's been going on, and it's like you could, again, I give credit to Angel for actually listening to the people coaching her up and saying, hey, listen, you got to stop. You can't keep going at this. And her going next question is showing a little sign of maturity. That's got to be there.
That's where she leaned into it and was just like, hey, it was a basketball play. Let's move on. Right. So, I mean, it's so that end of it's good. Right.
Yeah.
Is there frustration going to happen? I think there's going to be a lot of these types of calls because you're going to see Caitlin Clark just crush these teams anymore. Like, she is so much better. It's like Kobe Bryant playing against all the other high school kids. Yeah, it's getting to that level. So I mean, I have a feeling all season long it's going to be like this.
It was pretty funny because they're like, oh yeah, it's Angel Reese's first double-double. It's like, okay, except her counterpart threw down a triple-double and won by a lot.
And the funny part with that is she's just entering her 2nd year in the league, and she is number 2 all-time in WNBA history in triple-doubles, and she's 3 behind the all-time record. She's going to have that broken at some point this year.
Yeah, of course.
Like, that's the fact. That's the thing with Caitlin Clark this year, too. Like, everybody last year raved about her scoring ability last year, which she's always going to have that. Sure. But I'm not going to be surprised this year if Caitlin Clark's offensive production goes down a little bit and her other aspects of her game increase. I would not be surprised if she ended the year averaging a triple-double because Indiana spent so much money this offseason adding 1 and 2 or 3 other scorers capable of putting up 10 points a game. So her points per game production might go down, but everybody else might get involved, which is going to make the other aspects of her game come more full circle.
But also do 15 assists.
Yeah, she averaged 22 or something as a rookie. I wouldn't be surprised if she averaged like 18, 15, and 10 this year.
I mean, kicking the season off with like 40, I guess. Yep.
Well, thank God they don't play against Brazil every game. But
I was hoping they could play Brazil.
Do we feel better, Chris? Are we okay? Did we fulfill the quota there?
Oh, he tapped out. You know, after you called him out, he's like, "Yeah, the hell with these guys. I'm out of here."
Well, we just let a pretty good timer go to waste. What the
hell? Man.
No, I think that it should be mentioned that I realize that Jay is trying to mimic my haircut. I feel like that should get mentioned somewhere in this show.
I just want to be like you, man.
I know.
I say when I came out the room.
Next, the beard's got to go.
Oh no! I put too much work into getting this bad boy down to my butt crack. So no, I'm too far along in the game.
And there you go. Way more information than you ever wanted.
Right here.
Man.
So Dustin, what happened? What happened in your baseball, in your baseball world this week? Since looks like there has been some wins added and no losses added to your record there.
Oh yeah, I had a busy weekend. So we had our regular high school game Friday, won that. We had a doubleheader Saturday morning, swept the doubleheader, even though the first game went 13 innings. So we ultimately played 3 games out of a 2-game stretch. And now we're positioned to, if we win one of our 2 games this week, we win back-to-back conference championships, which we won our first conference championship in 38 years last year. So to do that back-to-back seasons would be an accomplishment in itself. And then Saturday into Sunday, I was coaching my son's 11U travel team, and they took second place at their tournament over the weekend and came home with rings.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
That's the way you do it. Yeah. Still set up.
There you go. So 16-3 on the season. And how many more games would you say you have?
We have 4 this week. We have Tuesday, Thursday, doubleheader Saturday. And then we have 1 game next Tuesday, and then the playoffs start next Friday. So we have 5 regular season games left and then playoffs.
There you go.
The only ones that matter are the first 4. Because the playoff seeds come out on Sunday. So regardless if we win or lose next Tuesday, it has no effect on what seed we get. So next Tuesday will probably just be like a reserve game where we're starting players that typically don't start, just to get them some game action before the playoffs.
Nice.
Yeah, all the pitchers that
all the pitchers that have thrown like 10 innings or less, we'll just throw them each a couple innings, and that way we can save like our main 3 for when the playoffs start on Friday.
Now those are 11-year-old kids, correct?
No, that'll be for the high school.
Oh, that's for the high school. Okay.
Yeah, 11-year-olds will just be weekends only, basically from the end of March through the end of July. It's every weekend we have a tournament.
What's happening, Raph?
I wonder how fast those 11-year-olds throw the ball. Like, are they 50, 60 miles? You think they can get up that area?
Our kids throw between 48 and 52, depending.
48 and 52?
Most of the kids we face throw 48 to 52, but the team that ultimately beat us yesterday, they had a kid that was throwing 60.
Nice.
So it's a little bit of an increase when you're used to seeing around 50, 52, and then you bring a kid out there throwing 60. It's a bit of a reality check that some kids can still bring it a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And do they teach them anything else other than just aiming for the glove? Like, do y'all throw some pitches in there early on, trying to get them to develop something?
My kid threw 6 innings this week, and he's got a fastball, a changeup, and a splitter. So I can call any of those 3 pitches for him. Every one of our pitchers has at least a fastball and a changeup. There's one that's got a cutter, and then there's one that actually has a knuckle. So I do have pitches that I can
knuckler?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
There's one that wants to throw a curveball because he knows how to do it, but I said I refuse to let them throw a curveball till they turn 12. So they're not, none of them that can throw a curveball will be throwing one until next year.
Rob, yes, I do think.
Yeah, Tigers are legit. They showed it last year in September when they entered the playoffs as the hottest team in baseball. Now they're just taking what that momentum was and flipping it into this year.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
And it does help that Javi Baez remembered how to hit a baseball this year.
I mean, little things.
Yeah, well, that's because nobody in your can actually hit a baseball.
Nobody where?
In Seattle.
I mean, you're not entirely wrong, although they did just sweep the Padres, so that was a
good
I thought was a first off, did anybody feel a very specific way about the way they did this past weekend? Like this was all the hey, we are going to play the inner city matchups all in one weekend. Yeah, obviously, San Diego and Seattle. That's.
I'll tell you what.
They had San Francisco go up against each other. L.A. and Anaheim go up against each other.
Yep.
Chicago, New York, St. Louis versus Kansas City, Detroit versus Toronto, which is just the closest. Pittsburgh and Philly, the Mets, Yankees. I mean, I liked that they did that. Baltimore against Washington.
It's sort of their in-season tournament thing. So our deal with the Padres is the Vetter Cup for Eddie Vedder, right? And so it's going to be the best of the 6 games. So we sweep the first 3. We play them again in August, I think. And so then whoever wins that wins this trophy. So I would imagine the other guys are doing something similar.
Yeah, because we have the Crosstown Cup. So
yeah,
we had the first 3 games of the Crosstown Cup against the White Sox this weekend, and we just bashed their brains in. So, I mean, we play them. I think it's the same 2 weekends. So this weekend, most of the rivalry teams play because you had the Cardinals and Royals, you had the Brewers and Twins, the Mariners, Padres, Cubs, and White Sox. So I think this weekend was specifically designed to have all those rivals play this weekend. And then the second portion of those rivalry cups will take place in August. So like 2 weekends of the MLB season, it's like the same teams playing each other to fill out the rivalry series.
Yeah, it's just kind of it's interesting. It's interesting because I never really thought about the Padres being our rivals.
It's technically not, but when you look at how baseball is 15-15 right now, you don't have the 16-14 like it used to be. They always have like one team from the NL rival, one team from the AL. So like the same thing with the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves AL East rivals actually is not even technically their rival. Because they don't have like that rival team that you can be like, oh, this is the Braves rival, because you have the Marlins in Tampa, you have Washington and Baltimore, the Mets and the Yankees. That leaves Philadelphia and Boston and Atlanta and Toronto. So one of those teams has to be kind of that interleague rival.
Philadelphia played Pittsburgh. That's
because they're the same.
We're doing the interstate. Yeah, we do the Turnpike rivalry.
Same thing with
And so, Rob, this is
and Boston out.
They are not crappy.
So. Rob, the big difference here is they want to win, and the M's don't care if they win. They want to stay good enough to get people in the stands and make money. So there's just a philosophy difference there.
They have a World Series.
For the AL West, to go up against the NL West, which is what this week really was for us anyway, because you had the Mariners, Padres swept, right? And then you got the Angels sweeping the Dodgers, which I did not see that coming. I think that kind of shows you a little bit about the West. A lot of people have come down in the West. I think sometimes a little bit hard, but we have a pretty good division. We have some good teams in this division, and I think this week showed it with what the M's did and what the Angels did. I mean, you guys did phenomenal. We split the series with Texas. We went 2-2, and then I think we got Tampa this week, and then right after that, me and Bo go at it for 4 days. So I think it's going to be a lot of good baseball in there and see how that all works out. But, Bo, I'm going to give you credit for representing the division. You did well, sir. And same thing for Anaheim Angels. You guys did well. Cody Spinks, you did well. I thought it was good, man, for the division. Credibility to show what we did this week.
It didn't create any separation within the division, though.
No.
No, but that's where this week comes in, how we play up against, you guys, right? I mean, that's gonna after Tampa.
Of course.
No,
that's a huge
Tigers
series.
having the best record in baseball right now.
I mean, that's what I was going to say before. They have a World Series winning manager in AJ Hinch. So he knows how to manage, obviously. He came into a situation in Detroit that he initially came into when he started managing Houston, where Houston was in complete rebuild mode. They spent 4 years basically being the bottom feeders of the AL West, getting all that young talent, getting all those draft picks. They kind of let AJ Hinch take his bumps while they were building up that roster. And once they had all those prospects called up, then Houston took off. Once Hitch ended up going to Detroit, same situation. Detroit was a 105-loss team when he got there. They knew they were going to stink for 3 or 4 years, but they just kept getting these high draft picks. They kept restocking their system. And now you got a guy like Tarik Skubal, who's obviously going to be a Cy Young favorite every single year. You spend the money on Javi Baez. You spent money on all these other positions. Now the Tigers are in a position to win games, and they're showing what having a World Series manager does for a team. He knows how to build a team from the ground up.
That was really the hardest thing about 2017 for me was losing AJ Hinch, because people can say what they want about that World Series, but you know what? He's a damn good manager.
He's a good manager.
Doing in Detroit. Look what he's doing in Detroit, like you said. So I mean, I wish I could have him back, to be honest. But yeah,
it's not like they played garbage teams, Rob.
There's no love, huh?
You're right.
Hard for them M's, man. Damn.
So we to wrap the end of this show up in an exercise of probably irritation. They keep talking about the potential of the draft lottery invading the NFL. And that would be the worst. And this is what it would have looked like had that been a thing for this year's draft. And, this would be modeling something similar to, that what the NBA did, right?
Wow.
Carolina would have got Ashton Genty at number 2.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's a couple of teams that, would have helped out.
49ers there would have been
would have been huge.
They could have got Travis Hunter or anybody they wanted.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing is you could have got anybody. You wouldn't have had to pay Purdy. Could have got Cam Ward there.
Yeah.
Right? So this would be terrible. They better not do any of this. Just let the teams that are bad get that first pick, right?
With this order too, like Jacksonville probably could have still got Travis Hunter at 3. Giants probably could have still got Abdul Carter at 4.
I don't know about that one.
I think San Francisco takes Cam Ward at 1 if this is the order. I think Carolina would have taken Ashton Genty at 2 because they needed a running back. So then that would have pushed Carter down to 4 over Hunter. Tennessee could have went after Shedeur Sanders if they still wanted a quarterback, or they could have went after anybody else. The Browns could have got Mason Graham at number 6, who they ended up taking at number 3 or whatever. Patriots probably could have got Will Campbell or another one of those offensive linemen sitting there at 7. So, I mean, a lot of the top 7 wouldn't have changed who they took. It would have just changed the order of what they got them in.
Yeah. Isn't there other teams that should be in that mix? I mean, it's right now there's 14 teams that make the playoffs out of 32. So last I checked, that means that there's 18 teams left.
Again, this is just postulating here. Like that's not, who knows what it would have actually been. Who knows what the NFL would have, made get to the top.
Wow. Yeah, I really hope that doesn't happen. I really don't like the lottery in basketball, much less migrating to other sports.
Oh, it would be the worst. Like I would be really mad if they brought this to the NFL because
If they're going to do it, they'd have to have it capped.
Yes.
Like 5, the top 5, then 6 to 10, and
Sure.
then 7 to 11 to 16. That's it. Like, so that you can move up 5, but you can't go from 11 to 1.
Yeah. So on its face, it might curb tanking, but then it's just another thing that can get manipulated from the outside. So I don't know if that really helps anything.
But the truth of the matter is that do you know that like every team in the NFL has like a 36% hit rate? Like it ranges from like really like 28% to 39-40% on first round picks.
Mm-hmm.
That hit rate on it working out.
Yeah.
Nobody's really any better than that. So it's like, because the players, it's still up to the players too.
Right.
Imagine being San Francisco and choosing Ryan Leaf.
Yeah. No, I mean, it absolutely happens. There's plenty of first rounders that don't work out. Yeah. I just don't want to see it. Like it would be terrible.
There's so much about the referees doing the collusion thing, and it's hey, here's the script and everything. Can you imagine what a draft would do? Oh my God, it would be like that was scripted completely. And although the NBA says, hey, listen, we're going to do whatever the hell we want to, anyways. We don't care. We're going to give Denver the first pick of the draft, even though they got a 0.01% to ever get that. But we're going to do it anyways because we're the NBA and fuck you.
Pretty much.
Man.
And that is a great place to wrap up the day. If you're watching here on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Helps us bring our content to you. And of course, if you are watching on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. Otherwise, we're going to get out of here. We'll see you tomorrow. Take it easy, everybody.
Later, guys.